Natalie Wood was born Natalie Gurdon in San Francisco in 1938. Her parents, Nikolai and Maria, were Russian immigrants who had high hopes for their little girl. When Natalie was just 4 years old, she made her first appearance in a movie called Happy Land as an extra alongside her mother. Maria was convinced that her daughter had that special something that would make her a star. So, she decided to move their family to Los Angeles and changed Natalie's name to Natalie Wood. It was a big risk, but Maria had a strong feeling that her daughter was destined for greatness. In the years that followed, Natalie went on to appear in over 50 movies. However, she is best remembered for her role as little Susan Walker in the beloved Christmas classic Miracle on 34th Street. By the time she reached the age of 18, she had already appeared in more than 30 movies. In 1955, at just 17 years old, she landed a starring role in Rebel Without a Cause alongside James Dean. Her performance earned her a nomination for Best Supporting Actress from the Academy. On her 18th birthday, Natalie was set up on a date with actor Robert Wagner, arranged by the studio. They hit it off, and after a year-long courtship, they got married on December 28, 1957. However, Natalie quickly discovered that balancing her public life as a movie star with her desire for a private life would be a challenge. She became increasingly confused and depressed. Sadly, the marriage did not last, as Natalie discovered that Robert had been unfaithful to another man. The divorce was a difficult time for Natalie, but with the help of therapy, she was able to find her footing again. She threw herself back into her career, determined to succeed and prove her worth as an actress. Once Natalie Wood found her footing in Hollywood, her career took off like a rocket. Her performances alongside Tony Curtis and Frank Sinatra in Kings Go Forth in 1958 only fueled her success. She continued to shine in movies like Splendor in the Grass, 1961, West Side Story, 1961, and Love with the Proper Stranger, 1963. Natalie's talent and beauty earned her not only fame and fortune, but also the adoration of many. Her name was often mentioned on the list of the most desirable women in Hollywood, and rumors circulated about her dating history with leading men such as Warren Beatty, Frank Sinatra, and even Elvis Presley. Despite her reputation, Natalie was known among her friends as a down-to-earth woman who prioritized her family above all else. As Natalie's acting career started to slow down, she found herself drifting aimlessly from one relationship to the next, searching for happiness. But despite her efforts, contentment remained elusive. One summer night in 1966, Natalie hit rock bottom. Overwhelmed by despair, she swallowed an overdose of sleeping pills and slipped into unconsciousness. When she came to, she found herself lying in a hospital bed, surrounded by doctors and nurses. Later, Natalie would confess to feeling completely despondent and without hope. She recalled thinking, quote, "I didn't want to live." It was a dark moment in her life, one that would haunt her for years to come. Following a brief 3-year break from the film industry, Natalie returned to the screen in 1969 with her role as Carol Sanders in Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice. After completing the film, she made a few television appearances, but her main focus was spending time with her family. During this time, Natalie found love once again with Richard Gregson, an agent whom she married on May 30th, 1969. The following year, Natalie gave birth to her first child, a daughter named Natasha. Finally, it seemed as though Natalie had found happiness and contentment in her personal life. However, Natalie's joy was short-lived when she discovered that her husband had been having an affair with her secretary. Devastated by this betrayal, Natalie wasted no time in filing for divorce. Natalie would later rekindle the fire with Robert Wagner. Natalie and Robert remarried on a friend's boat berth in Malibu on July 16, 1952. To make her third marriage work, Natalie gave up performing and gave birth to Courtney on March 9, 1974. It was Thanksgiving Day in 1981 when Natalie Wood and her husband Robert Wagner invited her co-star, Christopher Walken, to spend the weekend on their yacht, the Splendor, anchored in Marina del Rey. The 55-foot cabin cruiser was the perfect getaway from the hustle and bustle of Hollywood. The next day, they sailed the yacht to Catalina Island off the coast of Los Angeles and anchored it at Isthmus Cove. The four of them explored the island and enjoyed the beautiful scenery. However, the weather soon took a turn for the worse, and the yacht's crew piloted it to a safer mooring due to the rough water. Wagner returned to the hotel where the others were staying, leaving Wood and Walken on the yacht. On November 28th, the group returned to the Splendor, which was now anchored at Isthmus Cove. As the sun began to set, Natalie Wood, her husband Robert Wagner, and their friend Christopher Walken arrived at the Harbor Reef restaurant. Witnesses claim that the trio drank several bottles of champagne during their meal, and things began to get rowdy. Natalie was reportedly openly flirting with Walken, causing a scene and drawing attention to their table. The group left the restaurant in a drunken state and boarded a small dinghy to head back to their yacht, the Splendor. Once on the yacht, the party continued while Captain Davern began his final rounds of shutting down the boat. At around 12:20 a.m., Davern noticed that the dinghy was missing. He assumed Natalie had taken it to view the stars, as she often did. But when she didn't return minutes later, he notified Wagner of her absence. Wagner immediately set out in another dinghy to search for her. At about 1 a.m., he notified the harbor patrol to join in the search. The Coast Guard was added to the search party at around 3:30 a.m. Sadly, at 7:30 a.m., helicopters discovered Natalie's body floating face down some 200 yards from the boat. The small dinghy was discovered adrift with 4 life vests aboard some 200 yards from her body. The circumstances surrounding Natalie Wood's death were surrounded by controversy and rumors. Wagner's representatives maintained that Natalie had drowned after getting irritated by the incessant banging of the tied-up dinghy against the yacht's side. Police investigators ultimately determined that after changing into her nightgown, knee-high socks, and a thick down jacket, Natalie boarded the dinghy, possibly intending to take it to the hotel on the shore. While untying the dinghy, she likely slipped on the wet swim platform and hit her head on the side of the boat or platform before falling into the cold waters of the harbor. Natalie succumbed to the cold and drowned, still clad in her nightgown and red down coat. Natalie Wood was 43 years old. The events surrounding Natalie Wood's tragic death remain a mystery to this day. Despite numerous accounts and reports, the truth of what happened that night may never be fully known. Both Robert Wagner and Christopher Walken have refused to speak publicly about the events of that evening, leaving much to speculation. Eyewitness accounts from the time do not always match up with the official reports and findings. According to the coroner's report, a private searcher who discovered the dinghy observed that the key was still in the ignition, but turned off. The boat was in neutral, and the oars had been tied down. It appeared as though the dinghy had not been used recently. Natasha, Natalie Wood's 11-year-old daughter, had a special request for her mother's funeral. She asked that her diamond earrings be placed on Natalie's ears. Robert Wagner, Natalie's husband, also had a specific wish for her burial. He insisted that she be buried in a fox fur coat that he had planned to give her as a gift. Natalie's funeral was held on December 2, 1981, at Westwood Memorial Park in Los Angeles. The casket was adorned with gardenias, one of Natalie's favorite flowers. Many celebrities attended the funeral, including Sir Lawrence Oliver, Rock Hudson, Gregory Peck, and Elizabeth Taylor, among others. The attendance of these famous figures was a testament to Natalie's impact on Hollywood and the entertainment industry as a whole. Goodbye, and rest in peace, legend actress Natalie Wood.